Everybody's got something to focus on going into this session of the activity in Albany as we start a new one. It's amazing. Meet the Leaders is here, of course, to keep tabs on things. I'm David Smith, along with Assemblyman Nick Perry of Flatbush and Canarsie and Brownsville. 58th District is what you call it, and it's good to have you with us, Nick. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Good to see you here today.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here.
Happy New Year to you. And
a Happy New Year, and boy, do you have a year upcoming, my friend.
Well, I really feel that it's going to be a Happy New Year.
Again, the Democrats now have firm control of the Senate and the House, as well as the big chair.
Full control.
Full control. What is that going to mean from the interest of you and your constituents in getting things done?
Oh, very promising and extremely optimistic that very good progressive legislation that's been beat around and hanging on the table for so long will finally get to pass them, and then it'll be up to the governor.
But what priorities have you set for yourself for this session for you and your constituents?
Well, I was successful last year in getting the Commission on Prosecutorial Conduct passed and signed by the governor, subject to a few chapter amendments, which we plan to do as soon as we get busy.
And what does that mean to your constituents?
Well, that was a major criminal justice reform legislation that put New York ahead of the curve, way above all the other states. The first state in the nation to hold prosecutors accountable for misconduct, misdeeds in office, as it should have been from the start of our democracy, where we left out checks and balances on the powerful office of the prosecutor.
Congratulations.
And so this session I want to focus on another progressive piece of legislation. Senator Zelna Myrie and myself will be pushing the Prisoner Minimum Wage Act.
What are you seeking for those prisoners?
Well, slavery, we believe, was abolished under the 13th Amendment, but it specifically explains that if you are a prisoner, if you're incarcerated, you are property of the state, and for you, slavery continues because the state can subject you to work with no pay under any condition. And in New York State, prisoners who are working or who are forced to do work that otherwise would have been paid for by the state, they earn up to 10 cents an hour.
That's what it is, 10 cents an hour?
10 cents an hour.
And what are your hopes to raise it to?
Well, we are looking at setting up a commission that will look at the circumstances and propose a fair minimum wage for prisoners. Right now, the bill, as introduced late last year, sets a $3 minimum, but I know that we'll have to negotiate that. And but I do think that because our prison system has a concept of being a correctional system where we want to try to make the person ready to come out and be a productive citizen, you can't have somebody living in slavery and expect that they will acquire the characteristics to be a good citizen when they get out of prison. So,
well, and many people are going to come out with no support system to come out to.
Exactly.
And at 10 cents an hour, they're going to come out with no money either.
Exactly.
$3 an hour, they're going to come out with next to no money.
And what people say is, but we pay for their room and their board and we feed them. Well, they're human beings. We can't just put them in prison and not feed them.
You don't want them to be forced to come back in again after
That's
they're
correct.
out.
So I think that that progressive thinking New Yorkers will understand that we should make our system really a correction system, and with the purpose of preparing those who are paying their debt to society, preparing them to come out and not be victims of the recidivism that so many of ex-offenders face.
Who were the thumbs down in the last session on that?
Well, it wasn't discussed last session. This is a new bill, and I hope to encourage a
then it's not
discussion.
Tarnished with any old rationales. This is all going forward.
This is all
it's
new. It's going forward, and we're going to try to educate my colleagues and the public and get a good, positive consensus to pass it and make New York the first state to establish a minimum wage that prisoners can earn while they are incarcerated, and they are subject to working. They're not working as slaves.
Nick, sounds very positive indeed. Thank you so much for stopping by and cluing us in a little bit as to what you're going to be doing.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, and
Pleasure.
I look forward working hard to passing this piece of legislation.
I don't blame you. From the 58th District he comes, Assemblyman Nick Perry. That's the way it's going so far up here as we open up the session in Albany. For Meet the Leaders, I'm David Smith.